Hi, Sandra here, the Misophonia therapist, and today's video is inspired by a woman who posted in one of the Facebook support groups that I belong to, and it just piqued my interest. So it's misophonia and intimacy issues. So this lady said that she had suddenly felt pure rage at the sound of her husband kissing her and other noises coming from him whilst they were being intimate. And she felt incredibly confused about this, guilty, felt really bad, as well as the concerns that her husband was likely to notice and start to take this incredibly personally, particularly if she gave him any sign that it was bothering her. So it is certainly an incredibly difficult situation, not to mention the impact that it could potentially have on her relationship. So just reading between the lines of the post, it seemed like she was in an otherwise loving relationship. But what could be going on here? Maybe some of you watching this video might identify with it, which is why I'm making it. So here are a few reasons that might be underpinning it. And of course, I am working on the theory that misophonia is a protection mechanism that has a psychological subconscious root cause. So number one, you have simply stopped fancying your partner and you haven't consciously admitted it to yourself. And I really don't mean to be blunt, but is this possible? It happens in a lot of long-term relationships, and it honestly is not the end of the line, especially if you can find other ways to be intimate and loving, or maybe work on finding that spark again. Number two, you are dealing with a stressful event in your life, and it's causing overload in the nervous system. And you might not necessarily relate it to sex or intimacy, but the last thing you're going to feel like doing is cuddling up when you're hardwired for danger. So have you recently perhaps had a baby, lost a job, lost a loved one, or had some other change or stressful event in your life? Number three, could you be experiencing the hormonal fluctuations of the perimenopause or the menopause? Many women report loss of libido during this phase, and our misophonia that might already exist is suddenly making us react negatively to signs of intimacy. Number four, has your partner done or said something to upset you? You may or may not actually remember what it was, and you think that you have forgiven and forgotten, but subconsciously, it's actually not been resolved, at least not fully. And it's not uncommon, for example, to forgive a partner's infidelity, a mistake that they may have made, and move on. Then you realize that you actually haven't forgiven them at all. Trust has been compromised, and it may take a little bit more work. Number five, there is an elephant in the room in your relationship, a topic that you do not want to discuss and is therefore being swept under the carpet. It could be something to do with the relationship itself, but sometimes these things relate to kids or money or mismatched sex drives, ill health, or perhaps you feel less of a priority in your partner's life, taken for granted, or just fed up in general. Sometimes, of course, misophonia triggers can and often do seemingly develop out of nowhere. And it's interesting that a certain noise can suddenly become rage-inducing with no rhyme or reason. It might just be a completely random event that has no underlying driver, but I'm willing to bet that there is something going on here beneath the surface, maybe one of the above scenarios or something different. And it's a question of just being open and honest with yourself to try to establish the root cause. So I hope this has been helpful, and I'll be back tomorrow with more content. Bye for now.